Okay. Women make up almost half of the entire workforce. They are sole or co-breadwinners in more than half of all of American families. They receive more college and graduate degrees than men, but still they receive an overall lower compensation for their work compared to men. Even though the Equal Pay Act of 1963 was passed, we still find discrepancies in the overall wages given to men and women. As one of the most prominent issues in regards to gender equality, it serves as an excellent example of discrimination within our society, and yes, it still does exist today. When comparing the wages for women who are working full-time year-round compared to men working full-time year-round, women bring home 77% of what men do, according to Glenn in 2014. In this speech, I will argue for the following thesis. Men are being awarded higher paying jobs over their female counterparts, contributing to the pay gap. This is a direct result of discriminatory practices in the workforce that favor the male persuasion over women. Okay, women out there, imagine this. Your graduation is coming up and you start applying for jobs and internships. However, you quickly find that all the jobs and internships you may be interested in, one, require highly extensive experience that you don't have, even for entry-level positions. This can be a scary process for newly grads and women who are trying to enter the workforce. Firstly, because all the jobs require high experience, and second, they already have a disadvantage because of their gender. Even as men's careers are taking off, women find themselves more and more at the bottom of the food chain fighting for the scraps. However, there are still people out there today who argue that the pay gap is minimal, if not existent. Molly Bryant states, differences in the pay gap have been attributed to education level and chosen occupation. These claims do have substance to them, but they don't provide enough evidence as to why the pay gap happens. Okay. A major factor could be the difference in career paths. However, men are more likely to be lawyers, doctors, and business executives, while women are more likely to be teachers, nurses, and office clerks. This gender occupational segregation might be a primary factor for the wage gap. Although this disparity may be more due to the individual's choice of occupation than outright gender bias in the workplace. Glenn in 2016 offered this statistic. The top 10 occupations for women all pay men more on average, including secretaries and administrative assistants, registered nurse, teachers, and cashiers. Okay. In fact, out of the 534 occupations tracked by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, only 7 pay women more than men on average. Okay, 7 out of 534 pay women more. The rest pay men higher. Even though women have surpassed men with respect to obtaining high school diplomas and college degrees, there is still this pay gap. We must ask ourselves, why is this pay gap still happening even after women are choosing degrees that are comparable to men and jobs that are comparable to men? The Congressional Digest provides this example in 2010. 90% of women within that age group held at least a high school diploma or equivalent, compared with 87% of men at that age. Moreover, 37% of these young women held a bachelor's degree or higher, compared with only 29% of men. Any pay gap is a problem, especially when we're truly comparing apples to apples like we are today. If a woman and man hold the same position at the same company with the same level of experience and same education, and he makes more than she does, that is wrong and that is a problem. Okay. Jan Molino, president and CEO of Aspire Ascend, offered this story. She says, I remember early in my professional life, as I moved up the career ladder, it became apparent that there were 2 sets of rules, one for men and one for women. She also says, accounts of discrimination against women acquiring executive and managerial positions in their company are becoming a lot more common. Okay, this is a problem. We're seeing this more and more in the workplace. Beth, a banker from Brooklyn, she provides a similar story as evidence of gender pay inequality. She says, several years ago, I was working for a large bank. At the end of the year, my manager handed me a letter with some information about my annual bonus. The bonus was much higher than I was expecting, so I was thrilled. Until I took a closer look and noticed the letter was not intended for me, but for Ryan, one of my male colleagues. I said to my manager, I thought I'd been given Ryan's letter by mistake, and my manager said I was right and quickly handed me a different letter with my name on it. The annual bonus specified in Ryan's letter was significantly higher than my own. despite the fact that we had started the same job at the same time and had the same degrees and comparable levels of experience. She says, in fact, I think Ryan was younger and less experienced than I was. I didn't make a big deal out of it, in part because I was being paid well in general, but it really bugged me at the time, and I still think about it today. Okay, this is a problem. We're seeing this more and more, and this should not happen. Any pay gap is a problem. The unexplained pay gap between men and women exists and thrives today. We are far from solving this problem, but the government has put in the works to try and secure equal pay for men and women, but it's not enough. Additional legislation is needed to provide more equal pay protections. However you look and slice the data, the gap is there. Thank you.